Well, it finished Manchester United 0, Arsenal 1. Famous victory for the Gunners, Brian Kerr. First time since 2006 they'd won at Old Trafford in the Premier League. What do you think a result like that will do for the Gunners?
Well, I think it was a very important result for Arsenal because they've had defeats, 3 wins and 3 defeats so far, but the defeats to Leicester, Manchester City and Liverpool indicate a weakness, and the fact that they haven't been able to be what we consider the better teams in the league so far. So it's an important one morale-wise. Arteta's not too long in the job. It's obvious that he's making an impression. They won the Cup last year, won the Community Shield. But you know, the league form they've got to improve and produce and finish higher than they did last year. Finish 8th last season. So it was a very important result from that point of view. And they played well today, I thought, without creating numerous chances. They dominated possession in the first half particularly. The second half was much more even. They had to wait a mistake from Manchester United to get a goal, get a penalty. There's much more penalties now, I think, against Manchester United at Old Trafford than there used to be when there was crowds there, which is an interesting one. But I think overall they just about deserved it. They made the clear opportunities in the match, and they were the team that had the better, I'd say, combination play and fluency and clarity about what they were trying to achieve.
They went with a back three, which we've seen him doing before, Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager. But just thinking back to the game now, when you think of the back three, there was Gabriel as the anchor, you had Rob Holding and Kieran Tierney on each side, and then out in the wings you had Hector Bellerin and Saka. And you would have to say all 5 of those players had really good games today from a defensive perspective. And then maybe if you could also talk to us a bit about Thomas Partey, who really was the best midfielder on show for both sides today.
Yeah, I think the system worked well. I think of the back three, I thought all 3 of them played well, but I think Tierney needs a mention because he was at times their best attacker. I thought he was playing left side centre back, something we saw, Sheffield United introduced to their play in the last couple of seasons. But Tierney, he was a full back at Celtic. Arteta's been using him as a centre half, but he's an attacking centre half. Saka was playing as the wing back. He was drifting on the inside, sometimes staying wide, getting involved in combinations with Aubameyang. With Tierney was often the one getting up there and whipping crosses in. But then when it came to it late on in the match, he was part of the dig in and let's hold on to this lead we have. And they did that very well and very efficiently. Partey was the dominant player in the first half in the middle of the field, winning the ball back, spraying passes. The combination, I liked the balance with himself and El Nani. They had a good understanding of one holding and one advancing forward to join up to the front man. But there was always somebody there out of the pair. There was never times when they vacated the midfield and left it open. But Partey showed his all-round game was good. He surged forward from the midfield time, spread some passes around and won the ball back, which was very important too. So impressive, given that that's only his, I think it's only his second start in the Premier League, and he's come on and sub as one. So he looks like a very good signing for Arsenal.
So just to say about Arsenal then, because as I said, it's a massive win for them, and they haven't done well against the top 6 teams over the last number of years. They seem to have a hard centre now, which is something maybe Arsenal didn't have in the past. They were a bit of a soft-centred side. But a result like this, because they had lost the last 2 against Leicester City and Manchester City, but they were only by a goal to nil. They weren't bad defeats. So what's your kind of feeling for Arsenal now, kind of 7 games into the season?
Well, I think they look better. I mean, look, Arteta is a young manager. I'm sure he's a lot to learn. We all still have a lot to learn, but he's come from being the assistant manager. You come to be the main man. He's played the media quite well. He's been very strong in how he's dealt with the Guendouzi situation and the Ozil situation. Now, it might not be miles away from that not looking very well if they stop making chances, and they haven't been making an awful lot of chances. They got the win today, which is the most important thing. Didn't create loads of chances, but it was against the fairly organised Manchester United defence. But say it hadn't gone so well, then people might be saying, but your most creative player, you're paying him over 300 grand a week and not using him. Guendouzi, promising young player, gets around midfield very well, lots of energy, always wanted to get on the ball. but you let him off, you let him out, you know, on a disciplinary issue. So, you know, I think he's handled some things very well, but I'd say there's a lot going on at Arsenal. I'd say that he is now the out front man. It's a big difference between the coach and being the assistant manager to having to make all the big decisions around the team, handling the media, handling the agents in your ear, and all the stuff that goes with it. So if it doesn't go completely smoothly, I wouldn't be totally surprised. I don't think it's gone completely smoothly because they've lost 3 games in the league already this season against the teams you mentioned and I've mentioned. But there's definite signs of improvement. They're stronger looking. They are prepared to change tactically as the game has been played and in what's needed. You look at the change he made late on when United are throwing the kitchen sinker. He brings on Mustafi, moves Saka up a little bit and moves Tierney out to the left wing. So they got more height in the box because they know United will be forced into banging her into the box and trying to get something off Maguire when he gets in there, maybe Lindelof, whatever. So there's a flexibility about his tactics that's required and not as, you know, maybe it was something that wasn't there before. Partey will give them a bit more around the middle of the field. Certainly another option. Interesting that Ceballos doesn't get to play. Didn't get a start today. Xhaka didn't get a start. Gets brought on, I think, late in the game. But that's all. I think it's all very promising, I think, for Arsenal. But they've still a bit to do to catch up on Manchester City and Liverpool, I'd say, in particular. But they showed today they're a match of Manchester United.
Every time Manchester United do badly and we criticise them, then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer seems to bounce back and, you know, reply with a couple of important wins. And then when they get a couple of important wins, they seem to follow that up with a really disappointing defeat. Like, it's just, I suppose, they are consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, it was a superb performance during the week. I did commentary on the match during the week. They won 5-0 against a team that got to semi-final of the Champions League last year and were top of the Bundesliga going into the weekend. And they were really, really good. Went to PSG and won that match last week. So it's a problem that all the clubs have at the moment. It's balancing out the frequency of games. The 2 matches a week, games, Premier League, Champions League, every week. It's Tuesday or Wednesday, Saturday or Sunday. Short pre-season, dealing with recovery of players, information. I'd say information overload from the sports science people in the background at the club, and they're trying to handle that. And Solskjaer and Arteta and Klopp and everybody else, all the other managers, Frank Lampard, are all trying to handle that. So they are being inconsistent. And they played well the other night. The players that played well the other night didn't play well tonight. I mean, just hang on, switch this off, Stephen. Marcus Rashford, when he came on the other night, was brilliant. But Greenwood was smashing when he was on the pitch in the match. The Beek didn't get a start tonight. He was on too late tonight to really influence it, although he did a couple of very good things. But Fred had I felt an outstanding game on Wednesday and didn't do it tonight. Pogba was in and out of it, didn't do enough, and then gave away the big moment, the penalty. So they are inconsistent, and it's a problem for them. But I think this season is going to be like that for most teams. I don't see it. I don't see anyone going on the type of run that Liverpool had last season and Manchester City in the latter part when the league was done and dusted and Liverpool already won it. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be everyone dropping points on a regular basis. And, while Liverpool have stuck together a few results, but they're scratching out results and they've dropped points and they've dropped... compared to last year, I think it was 28 matches in, 27 wins and a draw. We're not going to see that this year. They're already down 5 points. Manchester City are down 7. Manchester United only have 7, I think, from 6 games. Yeah. But he does need to get a bit of consistency, and they need to win games, whether it's home or away. They've lost 3 home games, so the fear of going to Old Trafford and them overrunning you that's gone. But we probably suspected that was the case anyway with no crowds.
But because it is Manchester United, the biggest club in the UK, some would argue, but they are. I know Liverpool fans might like to hear it, but they are the biggest club in the UK and one of the biggest clubs in the world up there, Real Madrid and Barcelona. And he's always going to get questioned, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when they have bad results. And he's got that record today. I mentioned during the commentary, since 1972-73 season under Frank O'Farrell, they haven't gone 4 home games to open the season without a win before since back then. So that's not a good record to have against your name as a manager of Manchester United.
No, for sure. The only thing is, I think in any of the previous managers' era, they had the backing of the crowd at Old Trafford, and be it at times that the crowd can be, often I think a lot of them are day visitors. There's an awful lot of very passionate people to go week in, week out, and they do get behind the team. And even in the bad days of recent seasons, when David Moyes was under pressure, when Mourinho was under pressure, I felt the crowd always got behind the manager and the team. And he doesn't have the benefit of that now. It's like all the other grounds, it's fairly soulless, and there's no hostility towards the opposition, and there's no fear factor involved. So while you could say, yeah, they've lost 3 and drawn 1, it was a good draw last week with Chelsea. Two of the sides expected to finish in the top 4 this season are there and thereabouts. A good draw. Defeat the Crystal Palace was poor. Defeat the Spurs was poor, be it they were down to 10 men. But the Spurs were already playing very well in the match before Martial was put off. The defeat at Brighton was poor. But again, you have to go back. It's most unusual circumstances. Finishing one season so late, players going away in the build-up to the pre-season, going away and playing 3 international matches each, and then coming back in, and they're in for a couple of weeks, and they're gone again for another 3 weeks. So the managers are having very little time to work on the fitness of the players. It's match recovery, training. I'd say it's maximum 1 day a week where you can actually work on physical fitness stuff or technical, tactical stuff. I'd say the opportunities are very, very limited indeed. So I would give Solskjaer and all the other managers some leeway, but for Manchester United supporters, it's very frustrating and very disappointing, and I think more was expected.
And to be fair, they got off to a slow start last season. Didn't have a great first half of the season, but then went on a brilliant run and eventually got into the top 4, which is where they wanted to be. So still plenty of time for United to.
Yeah, but like I think everyone accepted this year that they still weren't going to be close to Liverpool and Manchester City. But I think there's an expectancy that they would be, that if the others are dropping points, that they're going to be closer. They've a bit to do at the moment from the situation they're in. They've got to start stringing a few consistent results together while they walk on in the Champions League. They've got to go to Istanbul next, but they've got to be able to combine both, and at the moment they don't seem to be able to do that.